For more, I want to bring in Congressman Steven Horsford. He represents Nevada's 4th Congressional District and is the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus 100 Days Transition Task Force. Congressman Horsford, welcome. It's so great to have you with us. Now that President Biden is in office, what do you hope to see from him and his administration right out of the gate?
Well, thank you, Tanya. It's great to be on. And it is a new day in America. To wake up today with President Biden and Vice President Harris in office, it provides a level of hope, inspiration, and relief to the American people. But as you asked, we have a lot of work to do. First, in crushing this pandemic and this virus, and that is part of what the president laid out today and a number of his executive orders for his plan around additional COVID relief. As you know, he's already called for $400 billion of funding to help address the COVID situation across our country, providing funding for more vaccination centers, helping to get 100 million shots in the next 100 days in the arms of the American people so that we can crush this virus, providing $15 billion of funding to community health centers, particularly for underserved communities in both rural and urban areas in places like Nevada that are struggling with getting the vaccine to those who need it, and really making sure that we provide leadership, both at the executive level with President Biden, as well as here in Congress, in the House and the Senate, so that we crush this virus and get our economy back on track.
Well, that is certainly a towering agenda, a lot to do and a lot to unpack. I want to get to one of the things that you mentioned, which is the action the Biden administration is taking to address the pandemic, primarily his priority of getting 100 million people vaccinated by the end of April. Do you believe this is realistic and achievable?
Well, I trust the experts like Dr. Fauci, who have indicated that this is absolutely achievable over the next 100 days. But it's going to take leadership. And one of the things the president has called for, President Biden has called for, is the use of the Defense Authorization Act. We need to ensure that we have all the necessary supplies and the resources. We need to fund more healthcare providers and community health centers so that they can provide these resources in our community. I was just talking to one of my local county officials this morning in my home state of Nevada. And unfortunately, in the last administration, they promised that more vaccines were on the way, but unfortunately, that was not the case. There is not a reserve, and therefore, Congress needs to act to give additional funding and to give that support to the president and his administration so that we can disperse the vaccines and the resources that are necessary to our healthcare providers across this country.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of states are finding themselves in that difficult position. I want to pivot to the economy. The number of Americans who filed for jobless aid last week continues to hover near the 1 million mark. President Biden's proposed bill for COVID relief is $1.9 trillion. It includes a $1,400 stimulus check for most Americans. What do you think of the bill, and do you think it will get through Congress, and do you think it's enough at this point?
Well, I called for $2,000 direct cash payments back in March of 2020. So the fact that now under President Biden's leadership with the new majority in the Senate, that we can finally get this relief to the American families who need it is absolutely necessary. It's honestly past due. And to be quite honest, the amount that's being requested is the same amount that the Republicans passed in tax cuts under the Trump administration when the Republicans were in control of the House and the Senate. So instead of giving more tax breaks to wealthy people and big corporations, President Biden and Democrats in the House and the Senate are making the American people, the American family, the priority. And not only do we need to provide direct cash payments, but we need to provide extended unemployment benefits. We need to shore up the health benefits provided for under the Affordable Care Act and COBRA payments for those who are struggling to keep the health care that they have. So these are priorities, and I do believe, working with some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, that we will get this through in a bipartisan way. I support President Biden's call for unity. This is a time for us to come together on behalf of the American family. They are counting on us to get this job done.
All right, and Congressman, as you know, Vice President Kamala Harris made history by becoming the first woman and person of color in that role. We know having her as vice president, having her in this significant role is so important for women and people of color around the country. What differences do you think it will make?
Well, first and foremost, I want to congratulate Vice President Harris. She is the first woman, the first Black person, the first person of Southeast Asian descent to serve in such a high position. And it is a symbol, not just to young girls like my daughter, but to young boys like my sons. All of America needs to see leaders like Vice President Harris. Not only is she capable, experienced, knowledgeable, but she comes from a life experience and will be able to provide a voice on so many important issues, from healthcare to immigration, to what we need to do around criminal justice and police reform. These are the issues that help propel a historic win for the Biden-Harris administration in their campaign, and it's part of what Vice President Harris will be able to provide President Biden in helping to govern responsibly going forward.
All right. Well, Congressman Steven Horsford, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Tanya.